Welcome back to the final whistle. I'm sure you've seen this mug around quite a bit, but yeah, we're back again for the late night whistle. We were kind of debating whether to do this, me and Steve, to be fair, this one, after doing the championship predictions earlier, which go and check out on the channel now. It is on there. We've discussed Leicester, we've discussed the Southampton game, we've discussed every game in there, to be fair. The match preview is also on the channel, where I was joined by James Mappin, from the Wednesday Till I Die podcast. He gave me the lowdown on Sheffield Wednesday. Sorry if my phone's going off. I have a lot of notifications. But yeah, better late than never. We are back again. So yeah, a lot to discuss. Talasic, Mads Hermansen. I mean, I think I'm fucking fuming after that 18 million quid fucking fee. Oh, man. West Ham are bloody... It's a steal for them, I'll be honest. But Wilfred Ndidi has completed his move to Besiktas, according to Mike McGrath. So, yeah. Let's see who's in then. I've been telling you for weeks, he's only worth £18 million, where you've been telling me, yeah, a lot of things. Hello, Caleb. Hello, WLB. Hello, Azza. Evening, everyone. Blame Jack. Yeah, live number 3. Yeah. I thought the man on the prediction show was BBC Leicester's Jack Rafferty. Wow. Hate this club at the moment. I mean, it's not really pleasing on some of the decisions to make, is it? I'll be honest. Hi, Jack. Good evening. Ilan Messier, yeah, that's not even one to even discuss, to be fair. If we are to get a new keeper in, Stefan Ortega would probably be the one that I'd take. But no, it's Oliver Skip's dad again. Well, yeah, right. Let's get Steve in. Steve, how are we?
This is a fucking outrage, Jack. It's an outrage.
Tell you.
Jack Rafferty or Oliver Skip's dad, you better not be talking about me, boys.
They're going to go into hiding after this. The views are going to... Right, Steve, where do we start? New background. Yeah, I tell you what, Steve's done well with this. He's actually come prepared. He didn't use it earlier on, so I said to him, this looks nice. He's obviously got Enzo Maresca as his background. I thought it would be more Martis if we enter. It's a bit more...
Oh, no, Jack, let me move out the way for you.
Oh, it's John Rudkin. When I seen the actual championship trophy, I thought, nah, surely it's Enzo. But then I thought, nah, it's John Rudkin. Right.
Who's just stood behind you?
Nets, how are we, mate? Hope you're good. Who's that stupid behind Steve? Well, no comment. Evening, Noah. It wasn't actually, it was match preview. Well, feel sorry for Marty, can see him walking by Christmas. Well, the thing is, he's here to do a job. He obviously learnt about the history today, Steve. Obviously, he sat down with the historian, learnt a lot about Leicester City. He obviously knew a lot about the title winning season and that. He spoke quite well about certain players from the eras and that, and they even told him about some Spanish players as well that we've had. Obviously, I hope you didn't hear about Luis Hernandez, but yeah, what's your thoughts on like the manager? Because they seem to be doing a lot of coverage, don't they, regarding Marty at the minute, of how he's settling in, training, now learning about the history of Leicester City, and like he says, he wants to be a real big part of that, and hopefully he can bring something humble to the table, and hopefully we can do good things at Leicester. So how good is that to hear as a Leicester fan that Marty is willing to learn a lot about Leicester City, the culture and everything like that?
For me, it shows that he wants to be here long term, which is good because, you know, we've had a couple of managers that have left a bit too prematurely. Yeah. Maybe not the two from the previous season, but the one before that, where in Enzo, you know, I would have liked him to have stayed, but, you know, money at the end of the day. So if he's showing an interest of actually wanting to be here, then that's more than what Ruud van Nistelrooy did, which is good because there is that disconnect between the club and the fans. And the only thing between that is the manager and the players to an extent, but the one that we hear from week in, week out is the manager. So as long as he's saying the right things, then most people will be happy. But yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense for you to come in and learn the history of the club, because what's the point of turning up and not knowing anything? You can understand the last 5 years, 10 years with a Premier League win, but realistically, to understand the club properly, you're going to have to go back sort of 15, 20 years when we're relegated to League One. Nigel Pearson involved, the first time round. That's the most important bit, because I don't think the 90s really count anymore. There was so long ago. Like I'm so old now. I'm 35 in a couple of weeks. That when I think about the 90s, we're closer to like 2060 than we are, the 90s. So it's just, it's not ideal.
It isn't ideal. Let's talk about the first bit. Right. West Ham United. This one's been coming for a while, and it's been very on and off. We thought they pulled the plug after not getting close to the valuation. Leicester were reported wanting over £25 million for Mads Hermansen. West Ham, they basically robbed us, haven't they, to be honest? West Ham have agreed an £18 million fee. Yes, £18 million, John Rudkin. Leicester City have goalkeeper Mads Hermansen. He'll travel to London for a medical now. Discuss personal terms. Deal looked dead last week when Hammers courted Botafogo goalkeeper John Victor, who they pulled after advancing quite well with. Always Potter's first choice. Steve, what is your thoughts on the £18 million? I mean, 25 is what we would probably have accepted, to be honest, regarding him. Talk to me about that. How low balling is it? How much of a steal is it for West Ham? Because I think they've very much got a big bargain in that price for him.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially if you take into account that Bromby will have a sell-on clause as well. So, whatever money we're making, we have to give them a percentage. Now, we don't know the full figure of that. It could be 10, could be 15%, could be even 20%. So the fact that we were all expecting him to go in the summer last year for 35, 40 million, that's what we turned down for Chelsea. And now he's gone for 18, with 15 if you include the add-ons. The sell-on percentage. Yeah, it's not great, but I guess the only sort of positive is that we then have money to come in and spend. So, Marty could, and we've got a ready-made backup in Jakob. I think he needs a little work to do, but this could be the season he sort of steps up properly and takes that number one for himself.
Yeah, obviously gives him the chance to take that number one now without having to worry about when am I actually going to play games, when am I actually going to be number one. It gives him that chance to step up, and can he step up is the big question. It'll prove it this season. Mads, good goalkeeper. Par his injury, fantastic keeper. He will play for a big club, I think, in the near future. Fits West Ham's style of what Graham Potter plays. He fitted Enzo's system quite well. Signed from Bromby for about £5 million. So if you take into consideration, Leicester have got in the region of £10 million if you take into consideration the sell-on clause and that. So yeah, we've profited £10 million if you take into consideration Ndidi and Kone. It works out to be about £29 million for three players. So that's 3 players out the door. Leicester with Marty now can really look at getting his players in that he needs. Hopefully, one of the main aspects of Marty now is a striker, because we definitely need one with what we've got at the football club now. What was your thought? What is your best moments of Mads at Leicester City, and what's your thoughts on his departure?
I mean, there's so many in his first season in the Championship that it's sort of hard to pick out. He was calmly collected on the ball. He was great at playing out from the back, and he was the sort of goalkeeper you wanted to be at the club. The Casper replacement that we all wanted, basically.
Yeah.
In regards to, see, my issue with it is, as you say, the transfer fee. It's not great, is it? Let's be honest. We were expecting more, but as a goalkeeper, I wasn't expecting any less. Any more from him. I will say that his season this year just wasn't good enough in the second part of the season when he came back from injury.
Yeah.
He had a great first half of the season. The saves against Arsenal. He kept us in many games that we could have easily been tonked sort of 4 or 5-0. But when he went away after the Newcastle game, he got injured, and then he came back for, was it 3 or 4 games? And he just didn't look the same. Maybe we rushed him back because we were panicking, when actually after the Spurs game, wasn't it? We had Jacob in goal, and then we dropped him for Mads again. Doesn't make any sense, to be honest. If you were rushing him back because he was injured still, leave Jacob in goal. Because I've said that the absence of Mads will only help us selling him, because if you don't have those 3 or 4 games that he was back for, and you see the poor, he didn't play great, you're thinking, shit, this goalkeeper's great, isn't he? We'll go for him in the summer, 25 million, that's pretty good. Now he's come back. We've sort of had our pants pulled down a little bit, as always, with John Ruckett, the man, the man, the myth, the legend.
The man who's supposed to be ducking in his heels on that Connor Cody deal, but couldn't do it for the Mads Hermansen one.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It is frustrating for sure to see such a small amount of money being sold for him, but at the end of the day, it's still money in the pot, and it won't be the last person to leave this in this window. We can easily see several players leaving. So look, it's just one more out the door that we don't really have to replace, because we've already got a replacement anyway. So it's a net positive in that sense for sure.
See, that Arsenal performance were fantastic. 13 saves in the game. Phenomenal goalkeeping performance. Probably one of the best from goalkeepers in recent years at Leicester. Look at what Schmeichel did in his time at Leicester. Not quite what Danny Ward did. But, Hermansen's had his highlights at Leicester, within 2 years since he's been here. The injury, I think we rushed him back massively. I think the Everton game should never have been his, to be honest, and it all fell apart. He hadn't been great since his injury. I thought he'd go for his operation after that Newcastle game and get everything sorted, and then you'd have said, okay, fair enough. But to not go and do it, and then have it at the end of the season, we always knew he would move on. He was always one that we thought, someone like Chelsea will look at, or he's got the operation because we know he's going to move on. But we do wish him all the best. He's not forced to move or anything like that. He has done what he's done. He was a part of that championship winning side. And he's a good goalkeeper. Like I say, fits the system at West Ham. Graham Potter's very much you look at his style of football compared to what Enzo's been doing and all that. They all try and play the Pep Guardiola system, don't they, quite well?
Yeah.
And 18 million, it feels like a blow to the gut. Of course it does. But then Leicester City this summer, Steve, we always asked the question of when would Leicester City get rid of players and who would leave, because there was a lot of players that we obviously want to get rid of, who we know most of them are probably not going to leave, who when we wrote our Santa's Christmas list. But Mads may have pushed this one through. There's always that discussion, isn't there, Steve, with players that clubs try tapping them up, and they always try to talk behind the scenes and agree certain things. Obviously, Henry Winter did say about personal terms had been agreed between West Ham and Mads Hermansen. Obviously, agents do a lot of things these days to earn the fee, don't they? So, Mads, we obviously thought maybe after that Fiorentina game and we found out the West Ham deal was off, we thought, we're keeping him, but not quite. We always knew something would happen. And West Ham were very keen on it, but to get him at £18 million, it's a steal. So what's your initial fee on like the fee itself? Do you sort of sympathise with it, or is it the case that it kind of pisses you off that you could have got £25 million when Leicester were holding out for 25 million or more?
I mean, so the one thing we don't know is that if Mads was pushing for it or not. So if he wasn't pushing for it and he was happy to stay here this season, great, But the way I look at it is that it's £18 million now. We don't know if there's add-ons involved, if there's a sell-on fee involved. So it could work out to be 22 million pounds if there is an add-on.
Sell you.
Exactly. So, it would be nice if they stay up and, we get add-ons from it. It'd be great. But look, at the end of the day, we can get pissy about it as much as we want, but we don't run the football club, unfortunately. And if they think that the 18 million, which works out at, well, it's like a 15 million pound profit, because it cost us 5.6 to take off the 2 years he had with us. You're looking at 3 million pounds left over on the PSR. So 15 million pounds straight into the club. Great, reinvest that into players that we need, because clearly we need players to come in to refresh the squad properly. And then hopefully this is Rudkin now saying, okay, we've got one big transfer out of the way. Let's focus on the other ones. Let's get the Deadwood out, for sure, because that's the thing that's going to kill us. It's not the 80 million for Mads Hermansen. It's the, Samari on 80 grand a week. It's the Harry Winks on 75 grand a week. That they're the things that are going to kill us more than anything.
This is what's going to be interesting now. We're 3 weeks left of the window where which players do leave, and I think most of them are going to be probably at the end of the window, the last week.
Yeah,
Marty wants to trim this squad as much as possible, and obviously a lot of pre-season we've seen Stolasic, Steve Borsa, Begovic is now come in. Armchair talks about here, do we have to bring in another keeper, second or third choice? Obviously, Begovic has now came in, experienced goalkeeper who can really help Jakob push on, proven in the Championship. I'm not saying Jakob's going to do what Begovic did and score from his own goal. I mean, it'd be nice if it happened. But obviously, a name that got linked about a few weeks ago was Stefan Ortega from Man City. They won in the region of £5 to £8 million. Do you see Leicester going in for another goalkeeper, or do you think there is trust from Marty in Stolasic?
So I think it all comes down to Sunday. If he has a howler, which, let's be honest, he probably won't. It's quite an easy start to the season that we're all, I'm saying it, we're going to get beat 1-0, let's be honest. Yeah. But if he comes in on Sunday and or even not even Sunday, even the cup game, it might be Begovic, so maybe Preston. Like, we'll see towards the end of the window. But if he's not in the first 3 or 4 games, he's not sort of convinced him, then yeah, we'll go in for a different goalkeeper, and that'll be that. But I just think it makes no sense to bring in a second goalkeeper when you've already got Begovic and Jakob, and you've got Bowser. It could be a third choice goalkeeper. We don't need 4 or 5 keepers. We did that with Ward and Everson, Jakob and Hermansen. It's just pointless. You're just taking up a squad spot for no reason. So, focus on bringing in different players in the area. You've got Jakob in goal. You've got Begovic, who's a decent enough backup goalkeeper, and you've got Bowser as a third choice youth keeper. That'll play in the under-21s, but also if you need to step up to this league or cup games or whatever, fine. It's fine with me.
What's your thoughts on that one? About competition?
But you say you won't get competition from Begovic, but he will, because Begovic is 38, but he wasn't. It was only a couple of years ago that he was playing goal for QPR. He didn't play for Everton last season.
Did he play 40 odd games for QPR?
Yeah, and he wasn't too bad.
No.
So I think he pushes him anyway. We don't need to spend money on a goalkeeper.
I agree on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to focus more on the attacking things. I'm not saying wingers. We need a striker, which we are going to get onto very shortly, because there is a name in there that the media have again put into there today about a promotion side in the Championship that Wycombe would love to sell him to. I'm not saying it begins with LC, but we'll read into it what we will. If any illegals come in, I don't even know what that is, to be fair, mate. What was your thoughts on the shirt thing yesterday? I don't know if you've seen it regarding the K-Bet thing. Members could actually look at this thing on wallpapers on Leicester City's website. I couldn't get into it at all because I'm a season ticket holder. But
they removed it after an hour.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they removed it. So yeah, I saw that, and you could basically go on. If you remember, you can go on buy and then click exclusive wallpapers, and it came up with the shirt with K-Bet as the sponsor. So I actually forwarded that to Philippe, as you would, because he did the article on us anyway. And he said, yeah, he's heard the same thing, that we're just going to have K-Bet. It's just simple as that. It won't change now. So the fact that they're releasing exclusive wallpapers, and I imagine it'll be announced tomorrow or Saturday by this point.
Well, it proves on the dodgy bloody dealings, doesn't it? I'll be honest. £3 million now, jockey peanuts. This man is a big season to play, you know. Obviously, you're only as good as your defence in front team, aren't you? For many goalkeepers. How good do you think this lad is going to be? Because people will probably criticise and say he's probably not Premier League level, but he's good enough for the Championship. So if you sort of look at it from a perspective, Steve, that Leicester City do go up this season, do you think they'll be trusting him to be that number one for the foreseeable future, even in the Premier League, or
yeah,
see how it goes?
Yeah. I could see this season being his breakout season. Like, he did all right last season, in the Premier League. I think he was fine. This season, if he's going to be the number one, he'll step up. He does have some work to do, as I said several times, on his passing ability in long range. He's a bit like Casper. He can bowl the ball out and pass it sort of 5 yards, but there's a few times last year and in preseason where he's kicked it 20 yards and it's just gone straight out of play. So, that's something that needs to be worked on for sure, but he'll know that. So, yeah, I think he can step up quite easily. I'm going to get pelters for saying this in 6 months' time. There'll be a clip of me saying it, but this league isn't that good. There's not a lot of teams in this league that I'm scared of playing. And Jakob walks into 22 of the 24-man squads for sure. He probably starts for 20 of those teams easily. So, yeah, I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, that one ain't worth even a mention, I'll be honest. Offer, to be fair, mate, and not a chance. I know you lot are after Balau Canoes, which I was reading something today, Steve, about Balau, and it was in Leeds Live. I don't know if you read the article in the end. They basically said that they didn't mention a release clause. They said that Leicester City want in the region of £30 million for Balau Canoes.
Good. Because if there's no release clause, good. That's what we should be expecting. And as much as Arthur in the chat seems to be convinced that Balau is signing for Leeds, I have a sneaky suspicion that Spurs come in for him, because they've just lost Maddison for the season, or the majority of the season. And Brentford and Frank, what's his last name? The manager.
Thomas the Frank engine.
Yeah, Thomas Frank. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they were after him before we signed him. They were competition last season for him. So I think he goes straight into the Spurs squad over Leeds. But either way, if there's a bidding war for him, great. Let's get it started. As much as I like the player, if he's going to bring in £30 million and we can make profit on him, then bring in the money and spend it somewhere else, because every single player is replaceable. I keep saying that, and fans get annoyed about it, but it's true. No player is irreplaceable in a football club, unfortunately, unless you're Jamie Vardy, but that's too late now. He's gone.
Well, the clause expires on the 15th, if there is one, which they're obviously, I don't believe that they are. People tell me different things, but I just don't think it adds up, to be honest, in the whole what we paid for him, and you want to sell him for the same amount that you paid for him. That's stupid. Yeah. You should never go into any business thinking, I want to make the same money. It's like you say you work in a corner shop or something like that. The boss will come in and say, how much have you earned today? And if you say the same, he's going to give you a smack round the face straight away. He's going to say, well, how have you not earned any money? And this is the same way I talk about in Balau. You own a shop to invest and make it bigger and sell it for more in the long run. And this is what it's quite source. Marty said he would look at the squad, then the academy, before looking at transfers. Well, at least we've actually got a manager who's willing to look at the academy. I'll be honest. Ruud van Nistelrooy just didn't seem to want to look at all. He just got forced his hand on it because people were raving about Monga and everything like that. And then obviously you're looking at Aluko, who I think's been fantastic. He could potentially be in for a start at one point this season, Steve.
Yeah. So just going back to Balau quickly, the whole thing that I think we need to remember is that this is a relegation release clause.
Yeah.
It's not a normal release clause. If we hadn't have gone down, he might not have had a release clause at all. So the fact that when he signed the contract, he obviously had you just said, I want, in case you go down, I want a release clause. Now we should have negotiated a better release clause, let's be honest, but this is Leicester. We were desperate to bring somebody in. So we just went, fuck it, let's just sign him. So, it is only a relegation release clause. So there's not really much else we can do about that. But I would say looking at the youth is great. But the issue there is that, are they ready to take the step up? Is Will Alves or anyone in the cam position in the youth squad good enough to step up for a championship club just yet? I wouldn't think so. This is the first season of them making proper professional football, apart from Will Alves, who went out on loan. It's just not viable, is it? Especially if the club wants to go back up this season, we need to make sure that we're bringing in players that can do a job, as well as keeping the youth around the squad to play minutes.
I honestly just think it's a media thing with his agent. I just think they're trying to unsettle him at Leicester. The thing is, if that guy's got a release clause, there'd be a lot of clubs interested. Probably not just the amount of clubs that are interested now. I think there'd be a lot more. And this is what I sort of find daft. Like, it's all about inquiry, speculation, or so-and-so's interested. Well, I'm not being funny. If you have a release clause, you just go and pay the release clause. If you want that player that much, you go and pay it. And you look at, who is it? Balau himself. He looks happy at Leicester. It doesn't look like he wants to force a move anytime soon. And I think Martin might have just had a conversation with him to say, you know what, give us another year this season. Your stock's going to go up. You have a high ceiling. And we can maybe see what you want to do next summer. Then we'd be happy enough to say, okay, then Balau, you've done what you've done. You've achieved what we want to achieve in helping us get back to the Premier League. We can give on selling you and get a bigger fee for the football club. Yeah,
it could be a bit like the sort of KDH situation. You stay for another year and then you get sold from there. No, it wasn't KDH, was it? It was who was it that we went down and we said, we'll give him another year, and then we sold him in the summer. I can't remember, to be honest. Football. Do you know when it just sort of merges all into one? I feel like we haven't had a break from last season yet, and we're running into the season on Sunday. So it's oh god. But yeah, if he stays for another year and then we can sell him on, great, do it. Make more money from him. If we go up, great. If we don't go up, then at least that's guaranteed money to come in next summer for the Bucks.
We made that mistake with Tillemans, though. We could have got 40 million for him. We could have, could have been £40 million. But then what did Leicester do? Stay another year, and then what happened? We end up leaving on a free, and it's like, for God's sake, man! Like, they're the decisions that get you in this situation.
It is, but he's on a longer contract than Yuri, so that's the best thing about it, is that we have him on a longer deal.
Mora's done something like that after we won the league. Potentially, Red Bull doesn't give me wings. Red Bull could probably have been the one that Leicester City could have very much sponsored. They always seem to put it around the pitch and that. So it's a situation. I mean, Jamie Vardy. When I talked to someone today about Jamie Vardy, the Sunderland fans were getting all excited, weren't they, about Jamie Vardy? They've seen the Sunderland flag in the little board in the background. That Jamie Vardy was apparently, some would say, signing for Sunderland. He's in Portugal, by the way. He is on holiday. It has been confirmed that he is on holiday in Portugal. He isn't signing for Sunderland. He's just training hard and wanting to get to the next club.
So that was a joint pre-season. So I think Sunderland were out there for pre-season. So he just happened to be where they were training, and they just hadn't changed the boards yet. That's all it was.
Balau won't push for Leeds. He knows he can get a better deal. I agree. Yeah. Crystal Palace comes in and says, "Okay, we'll give you £30 million." They're in Europe, aren't they? It's more ambitious of where he wants to be.
Yeah, exactly. Also, he's just said Jack. He's in Leeds. He's not in Leeds. We've not accepted a bid for him. So how can he be in? That's just not how. That's not how that happens. That's not how football works nowadays. He's not going to drive up to Leeds to have a chat with you when he's got a game in a couple of days. That's just stupid.
This is what irritates you. The media are like, "Oh yeah, he's having a conversation with Leeds in the next few days." Is he?
Yeah. How's he going to do that then?
You can get done for tapping players up like that, if it's not advised by the club and not accepted by the club. You can't do things like that. You look at Morgan Gibbs-White at Tottenham. Exactly. They ended up doing it the hard way, didn't they, with Marinakis?
Yeah, and let's be honest, Leeds fans are all deluded. In the nicest possible way. They're all fucking deluded.
West Ham fan here, just wondering if Hermansen is any good. A lot of our fans apparently like him. What would you give the best lowdown on West Ham fans about Mads Hermansen?
He's good with the ball at his feet. He's a decent shot stopper. He's quite calm and collective in certain situations. There will be moments where you'll think, fucking hell, like, why have we done that when he comes to passing around the back? But he will make mistakes as well. Simple as that, because all goalkeepers do. But I would say that if you take away Kasper, he's been the best keeper we've had in the last 15 years. After Kasper. Kasper's first, then him.
Agreed. I'm having a conversation with Sydney Sweeney tomorrow, if that's the case. Hey, Frankie, I've heard a lot about your conversations in that WhatsApp community group, whatever it is on WhatsApp, is it, about Sydney Sweeney's conversation. Locks was on about it the other day on the stream. He said they've been chatting about Sydney Sweeney. And obviously, I don't see these things. I asked Steve about it the other day, and he confirmed. Thank you.
Yeah, it was.
Proven guilty.
I'll be honest. I've had to mute the channel on WhatsApp. Not for any negative thing. It's just when you're at work and you get 1,600 messages in the space of 3 hours, my watch goes mental, and I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. So I've had to mute it.
It's crazy. Let's get on to this one. Wilfred Ndidi. I was going to put a bloody photo up of him in a Besiktas shirt, but it doesn't matter. We'll just go with it. Wilfred Ndidi has now completed his move to Besiktas. The 28-year-old deal expected to cost upwards of £9 million. So the deal is done. Leicester City just need to confirm it on their end. It is done. He has had photos in Besiktas. Medical's done. Everything seems to be very much done now regarding Wilf. What would you sort of look at Wilf? What would you say his real best moments are? Obviously, he's been a great servant for 8.5 years at Leicester City. He's been one of our key midfielders. He was one that they looked at to replace N'Golo Kante when he left. He's had some very good bits at Leicester City, Wilf. He's a passionate player. He has gave his best for this football club, and we respect it that much. We do wish him all the best, and hopefully it works out for him. But the only thing I did worry about with Wilf, that his injuries sort of concerned in what made him lacking in the end. But an all-round great ball winner, good defensive player, and I think he does well in the Turkish league. Yeah,
so his first sort of 3.5 years here, he was fantastic. One of the best midfielders in the Premier League for sure. And I thought we were going to sell him on for big money to a Man U or an Arsenal or someone like that. It wasn't the case, unfortunately. So he stayed, and there is loyalty, which is good. We went down and he stayed again. Fantastic. You can't knock him for that, but you will have to say that physically he's not where he was, 4 or 5 years ago, for sure. His legs aren't the same. And I think that maybe the Premier League have sort of, it's got a lot more physical. So
it's a young man's game now, isn't it, the Prem?
Yeah, exactly. And the Turkish league is, to be honest, he could do a job in like Serie A, in La Liga, in the Turkish league. Great, because it's slower and it makes sense for somebody who's lost the legs a little bit. But yeah, he's still a good player. I wouldn't put him as a legend, in my opinion. I put him as an icon, which is just the step below legend, because legend for me is Jamie Vardy. It's Mark Albrighton, it's Muzzy Izzy, it's Steve Walsh. He doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't get anywhere near that level as a player. But he's up there with, unfortunately, Yuri Tillemans is an icon for Leicester for the goal in the FA Cup final. Riyad Mahrez is an icon, because of what he did for the club. He fits in that category. So I wish him well. Thank you for the years. Thank you for the money that we're going to get for you. It's all profit at the end of the day. And then we can reinvest it for sure.
Yeah, 3 to 4 years, an absolute animal. Second part of his time was physicality. Wasn't there due to all the injuries. Probably should have cashed in. I think in my opinion, it's the best for both parties. Leicester need to get players off the wage bill of high earners. Wilf, he didn't really cut it in the Premier League in the end.
No.
It is a young man's game, I'll be honest. A lot of good young players coming through. Riyad Mahrez, legend. Exactly, great player.
So the only reason that I wouldn't say Mahrez is a legend is because of how he left the club in the end, with the downing tools and the demanding to leave. So it's sort of, at that moment where he's sat in the airport waiting for a move away from the club, it's like, if you're a legend of a club, you wouldn't do that to me. So look, very close, very top of the icon list for sure, but not in the next level when you're up against the other lads.
To be fair, I enjoyed Will's championship season. Just seeing him in attacking midfield was a joy for some reason. That's because you'd never seen him attack. When he did shoot, you're thinking, can this guy really hit one? And then you look at the goals against Stoke and Derby and a few other goals that he has scored, and you think, you know what, this guy can shoot. Even though there were a few at wonky, he'd take that absolute swerve to go around, and then, top player for us. He was a committed player, Wilf. Always had a smile on his face. We're always happy enough to play. The season that he did leave on a free agent, you kind of thinking money talks, doesn't it? Leicester City offered him more than what other clubs did. Maybe he did take that is why, but he is a Leicester City icon. He is. He'll always be remembered for Wilfred Ndidi who take the ball from you. Always got about the pitch. And love Wilf to bits, but time to move on. We've got to. You look at the 2016, 2017 Champions League squad, and you look at the last few seasons, though, Steve. You've sort of had Wilf leave this year. You've gone to Vardy last season. You've got Wes Morgan left at the end of the 2021 year. Mark Albrighton left in 2024 in the end. So it really looks like you've had legends leave near upon every year from that squad.
Yeah, because you're Casper as well.
Michael left in the 22-23. No, that was before the 22-23 season. 2022, Casper left.
Yeah, exactly. So, it is an end of an era for sure. Harking back to that time where we were, a Premier League club consistently and winning trophies, which is sad. But then all eras come to an end at the end of the day, and you can sit there and say that any single Leicester fan in this chat, Leicester City has won every major English competition in the last 25 years. There's only six clubs total that can say that, and we're one of them. So you can have your Forest coming at you saying, well, we won the European Cup in the 80s. Great. I wasn't even born, and neither were you. Palace have only just won the FA Cup. Great, but they didn't really win anything before that. Newcastle haven't won anything for years. So take it, accept the fact that eras end, and we'll come back again at some point, I'm sure. But just remember that, what they've achieved at the club is incredible. And you'll sit down and tell your grandkids about that, and one day when you're on your deathbed and your life flashes before your eyes, how many times are you going to think about Leicester City? Because they're going to be up there for me.
Yeah.
So,
well, at least you die happy. Let's be honest. If that's the case.
Most of mine will just be Jordan Ayew scoring goals this season and John Rudkin holding the championship trophy. But it is what it is. It's fine.
Feels like a changing of the guard. Exactly, legends are not here forever. Jamie Vardy, 13 years at the football club, 500 appearances, 200 goals. For what he achieved, monumental, incredible, shithouse, unbelievable Leicester City player and the greatest striker of all time. Greatest player of all time before from Muzzy, is it? Who would have been the greatest player of all time at that point.
Yeah.
But this is Malmo won the European Cup back then, says it all really. Well, there are not many clubs in there at that point, were there? Was it 12? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
That's nice, but let's maintain it, not crumble. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's right. And at this point, yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading what Rene's saying. Vardy's an icon to me. He scored. Yeah, no, Rene. The reason I say icon is so in Football Manager. Sorry, Jack. Sorry, I'm jumping in here. There's 3 levels of sort of favorite personnel. So you've got favorite personnel, then you get icon, then you get legend. For me, Vardy's in the legend section. He's somebody that will build statues on. That's a legend. He's not an icon. An icon for me is somebody that has done well at the club that will remember, like Yuri Tillemans, those sort of players. So, yeah.
Never thought we would win the FA Cup, let alone the Premier League. No one can take that away from us, and their memories are priceless. That's it. If you always said to a fan, Steve, who support other clubs, which club would you actually want to be in them last 10 years? You'd say Leicester City because of what we've done. We're the unexpected club. Problem is, I'm still sure we are changing into and who's in the next player. Leicester City need to get back to that club who was very much a club who would buy on the cheap and sell for big. We always used to find them hidden gems when we used to have Steve Walsh as the head of recruitment. I forget, is it Martin Glover now? Is it in that department? So we need to find that formula back again, and that's what got us the success in the first place. You find your Riyad Mahrez's, you find your Harry Maguire's, your Jamie Vardy's, your Mark Albrighton's. Wes Morgan cost us £1 million, and look how that turned out. Won the Premier League. So they're the sort of things that we need to start looking at again, in my opinion. I think all we need is a striker. The striking's the big point for me, and you'd probably say you'd want to be Man City for the last 10 years. Not really, mate.
No, because as I just said in the chat, we won it all without the Qatari money. We won it all by building a club up from over years. Bear in mind, it started off with the original Nigel Pearson team.
Yeah,
with Andy King, and then it went to Sven's team that brought in quite a lot of the players we've got now, like Kasper Schmeichel Kasper Schmeichel. Was Morgan a Sven signing? Was that a Pearson signing?
Nigel Pearson, 2012. Yeah, 2012.
Yeah. So exactly, 2012. We're thinking about how we built the team from 2012, and we won the league in 2015, 2016.
Yeah.
You look at Man City. They've had billions of pounds spent on their squad. We hadn't. We had £30 million total that season spent on our squad. I would rather be a Leicester fan than a Man City fan.
Well, this is it. I wouldn't care if I didn't see England win the World Cup. I saw Leicester, my Leicester, win the Premier League as a fan, and that's pinnacle for me.
Yep.
Do you know what? This is what I look at. A lot of fans are club before country, aren't they? When it comes to football, and I think I'd rather see Leicester win the Champions League. I'm honest. It probably isn't going to happen anytime soon. I'll be honest. I'll probably end up dead before Leicester City do anything like that. I said this about the Prem, the FA Cup. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, but it's happened, and I treasure them memories forever. And I'll take that to my grave, basically. What's happened so fast? Thought he was going 2 seasons ago. I don't know what's bloody happening to Wout Fast, mate. There's been no reported bid on Wout Fast.
No, we can chuck him into the sea and he just find himself a club from there. Really, you can go play for Atlantis if you like. So I couldn't care less with that. Just quickly going back to the winning stuff. So my brother is a Forest fan,
right?
And my whole family are Leicester fans, apart from my brother who's a Forest fan. Imagine how much shit he got when we won the Premier League as a Forest fan. It was delightful, Jack. It was the best feeling.
Oh, I bet. It's crazy how I talked to my mate Dave, who's a Forest fan, and he said that year, we were all rooting for Leicester, and because Leicester were a special story, wasn't it? The 5,000 to 1, the underdogs won the Premier League, and they very much did, from beating Sunderland in that first home game to then, hello, Matt, how are we? Nice photo of me, mate. Appreciate it, fella. But yeah, Wycombe, I've dropped up front price for Richard Kone, £3 million add-ons. We're forward in the final year. Is this where we sort of look at it now regarding Leicester? Is this where the striker we go for?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it could be a case that we still hold out until the end of the window, and then we bring him in there because maybe the club aren't in a rush to bring players in just yet. But yeah, it is a no-brainer at that price. £3 million is nothing for a team like us with the parachute payments and all that sort of stuff. So, that sounds really big-headed, doesn't it? But it's true. So yeah. I'd sign him. I'd bring him in for £3 million. But this is the club. They might wait and say, let's bring him in at the end of the window. It could cost us $2.5 million. And then they're laughing, really. But just sign him. Bring him in.
It's good to ask Bass there, when you were mentioning the 15-16 side, which I thought were quite good, to be fair. Where's Clibo? I don't know where Clibo is, mate. Probably got. He's
still locked to the radiator.
Still locked to the radiator, Matt. To be fair, mate, I don't know.
Yeah, he ran out of battery, so he's waiting for somebody to come plug him in.
Still bloody chained up to that radiator. Last time I heard, in Reese's basement. But I don't know. What are we thinking regarding next season? This team. What do we reckon regarding where we think we're going to finish?
So is that if we go up, or if we? Do you mean this season when we go up, or are we considering going up to the Premier League and seeing where we finish there?
I tell you what, we'll go with the Championship. Where do we think we're going to finish with like the possible points deduction and that?
Oh, I said we're winning it all. If we don't get a points deduction, I think we finish first. If we get a points deduction, I think we finish second. Matt,
I heard is actually attached to his radiator on Leicester Till I Die, mate. If you want to go over there and pop over, Clibo's over there on attached to his radiator. So if you want to go over there and have a look, mate, that'd be hugely appreciated, mate. If that's what you want to do, I mean, I'm not obsessed with Clibo at all or anything like it, mate. To be fair, so yeah, be a bit bloody weird if bloody someone was obsessed with Clibo. I'll be honest. It'd look bloody a bit stalkerish, wouldn't it? I'll be honest. I mean, if Steve were doing it, Jesus Christ, I'd be worried. Kone was playing semi-pro a few years ago. Traitor, agree with that. Yeah, but no, I think. Depending on the points deduction, obviously you'd want to finish top two, but I think from that point onwards we'll go from there. But so, Steve, Sheffield Wednesday is what we discussed earlier on. What did you take from what James was saying regarding that game?
So I only gathered the last sort of 10 minutes because I'd already been on once today, so I was going to have a bit of a break and then come back on later on. But yeah, I mean, they haven't got a very fit squad by the sounds of it. I don't know what they did for pre-season, and after the game at Burnley got cancelled, you said earlier that they had a pre-season friendly against Lincoln potentially. But in all honesty, I don't think it really matters, because if they sit back and try and block, they're going to get tired. They can't replace the players they've got on the pitch that well. So I just think we're gonna win quite comfortably, and I say that with so much confidence that I've put Leicester down as my I used my chip on the EFL Fantasy League thing and just had all of Leicester's players because I just think we're going to smash them.
Yeah, I personally think RU could score 15 goals this season, still want Kone though. Yeah, I think that'd be a good one, to be fair, with that one. I think it'd be good. I think Jordan Ayew, me and Steve have spoken about. There he is, Ruddonomics, or whatever you want to call him.
He's my boy.
Elmi's trolling with that background. He is. But Sunday should be a good game. I know we take into consideration everything that's happening at Sheffield Wednesday, but when you kick a ball on Sunday, it's about winning that game no matter what the circumstances are or what's riding on the game. To be fair, Leicester have got to go out and make a statement, sort of push on things, haven't they, Steve?
Yeah, for sure. Just, get out the blocks really quickly and score in the first sort of five minutes or so. And then at that point, it could really become a cricket score quite easily. So, yeah, I think we're going to be comfortable. And I don't like being confident about Leicester. I don't think anybody does. Like, we're not that will sit there and go, we're going to win it all.
Yeah.
But I am. We're going to win it all, Jack. We're going to smash the bastards.
Everyone's writing us off. Let them. I'm confident that the division is in for a rude awakening. Yeah. I'd say so.
Maybe not a rude awakening. We don't need Rue Van Nistelrooy coming back.
And still finish below us. Well, this is it. But Steve, thanks for coming on, mate. Appreciate it. Take care.
Cheers, guys. See you later.
Right, that is it from me. Go and check out the championship predictions for the week 1. We chatted about them. Go and check out the preview as well. That's on the channel. And thanks for watching the Late Night Whistle. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. That'll help me out massively. And take care. And I'll catch you again soon in another video.